Sagittarius, you're not alone. Your mother's love transcends time and space. There are moments, Sagittarius, when the world feels impossibly quiet. You walk through a city filled with people, yet you feel like a stranger. You lie awake under the stars and even their light feels too far to touch. And in those moments when the silence grows louder than your thoughts, something stirs inside you. It's not a voice. It's not a memory. It's a presence. A warmth that brushes against your soul like a whisper. A stillness that holds you when no one else sees your tears. A gentle knowing impossible to explain but impossible to ignore. This is her. Your mother. Not as she was in body but as she is in spirit. Always here, always loving, always reaching for you across the veil of time and space. Sagittarius, you were born under a sky that taught you to roam, to seek, to wander far from the familiar. And yet, no matter how far you go, there is one thing that never leaves you. The bond that was woven before you even took your first breath. You are not alone. You were never alone. Because her love doesn't live in the past. It lives through you. In every choice, every heartbeat, every moment you decide to keep going. This journey you're about to take isn't just about remembering her. It's about realizing she never left. If you're ready to walk into that light, to feel her love in ways your soul has always known but your mind sometimes forgets, then stay with me. Like, share and subscribe if this message finds its way into your heart. Because here at Zodiac Wisdom, we don't just speak about the stars. We listen to the voices that echo beyond them. Gate 1. The loneliest moments, and the voice you've always heard inside. Loneliness has many forms, Sagittarius. Sometimes it comes in the middle of a crowd, when your laughter feels hollow and your smile no longer reaches your eyes. Sometimes it comes in the middle of the night, when the house is still and every shadow feels like a question you can't answer. And sometimes it comes in silence. Not the kind that soothes you, but the kind that echoes, the kind that reminds you there's someone who isn't here anymore. And yet, in that silence, something else emerges. A sensation, a warmth, a soft pull in your chest. You've felt it, haven't you? Like a presence just behind your shoulder. Like a hand resting gently on your heart. Like the faintest whisper that doesn't come from your mind, but from somewhere deeper. That voice, Sagittarius, isn't your imagination. It's her. Your mother. Reaching out, not with words but with vibration, with feeling, with the kind of love that moves through dimensions. Because even when she left this earth, her love didn't. You've always been sensitive to energy. Sagittarius may be known for boldness and fire, but beneath that flame is a profound intuition. An ability to hear what isn't said, to feel what isn't seen. You were born with that sixth sense for spirit. That longing in your chest wasn't just grief. It was connection. There's a story I remember about a young Sagittarian named Alma. After her mother passed, she traveled for a year, chasing sunlight across continents, pretending she was free of the pain. But every time she stopped, alone in a hostile bed, hiking through unfamiliar trails, watching a sunrise from a silent beach, she would hear something. A message. A warmth. A sentence she swore she never said aloud. You're not alone, love. I'm right here. She didn't believe in these things, not at first. But one morning, standing under a rain-drenched tree in rural Scotland, she wept because she knew. It was her mother's voice, plain as day. And suddenly the loneliness cracked open. Not gone but illuminated. Because her mother hadn't disappeared. She had just become something else. Sagittarius, you know that grief doesn't always arrive as a tidal wave. Sometimes it's a quiet tide that recedes and returns, without warning, without sound. And in those low moments, it's easy to believe you're alone. But you never are. Because that ache in your chest? It's not emptiness. It's echo. And that echo is sacred. It means there is a bridge between your world and hers. A thread that never snapped, even when her body could no longer hold your hand. You feel it when you miss her for no reason. When you hear a song and your eyes sting. When you smell something in the air that reminds you of her. These are not coincidences. They are visits. She comes to you in memory, yes, but also in energy. In dreams. In flashes of intuition. In those rare moments when you pause and feel something holding you. Even when no one is around. She's there. Not looking at you from the outside but within you. Woven into your breath, your instincts, your heartbeat. And if you listen closely, you'll realize she never stopped speaking. She's been telling you things all along. I'm proud of you. I see how strong you are. You're not failing, even when it feels like you are. Keep going. Maybe the world hasn't always given you the softness you craved, Sagittarius. Maybe people expected you to always be the brave one, the bold one, the one who doesn't break. But your mother, she sees beneath that armor. She always did. Even now. That's why, in your lowest moments, you've never fallen completely. Something or someone has always caught you. Maybe it was a strange sense of calm in the middle of panic. Maybe it was a stranger offering kindness. Or maybe it was just a sudden shift in your chest, as if someone pressed a hand there and said, "Breathe." She's been walking with you all this time, and no matter where you are. In a foreign country, in the middle of a new chapter, in a moment of deep loss or transformation, her love will find its way back to you. Because real love doesn't stop. It doesn't fade. It becomes part of the atmosphere around the one it loves. It becomes a sacred presence that speaks without sound. So the next time you feel alone, Sagittarius, I want you to pause. Close your eyes. Take a breath. And listen. Not with your ears but with your soul. That voice inside, the one that says, "You're stronger than you know." That's her. She may not stand beside you in the physical world anymore, but she is walking with you still. In the echo of your heart. In the silence that suddenly feels full. In the knowing that, even in your loneliness, you were never truly alone. Gate 2. Sagittarius and the soul thread, a bond beyond space and time. Sagittarius, among the 12 signs of the zodiac, you are the seeker, the wanderer of dimensions, the one whose spirit is never confined to a single world. You've always felt it, haven't you? That urge to chase the horizon, that unexplainable ache when the stars shimmer a certain way, that sense that something beyond this earthly realm is whispering your name. You are ruled by Jupiter, planet of wisdom, expansion, and spiritual growth, and because of that, your soul is equipped with a compass not everyone possesses, the ability to sense what lies beyond. It is this spiritual compass that binds you so deeply to her, your mother. Even now, especially now, while others may close the door on the unseen after death, Sagittarius keeps it ajar. You may not always understand how. You may doubt it at times, but part of you knows there is more. More than what you can touch. More than what you can prove. More than what this world allows. The connection between a mother and child is sacred in any form. But when the physical body fades and all that remains is vibration, spirit, and energy, you, Sagittarius, are uniquely attuned to it. Not because you are immune to grief, but because your grief takes the shape of wonder. Instead of only asking, "Why did she leave?" you ask, "Where is she now? And how can I find her again?" And it is in that question, that seeking, that the soul thread reveals itself. This thread is not made of matter. It does not decay. It does not weaken with time. It is a golden current of energy, woven from every bedtime story she ever told you, every meal she prepared with tired hands, every glance of love she offered when you didn't know you needed it. It was spun in the womb, strengthened with every heartbeat, and now it extends between realms, unbreakable, invisible, and alive. Maybe you felt this thread during meditation, or in dreams where she speaks to you but says nothing with words. Maybe it's in moments when you're about to make a decision, and something inside you says, "Not this way. Try again." It's not always dramatic. In fact, it's often quiet, subtle as the shift in wind before a change in season. But when you slow down, when you let your Sagittarius mind rest from the chase and return to the breath, you begin to feel her again. Not as a memory, as presence. You may think you're imagining it. But think of this. Why would love, that powerful love that gave you life, simply vanish? The laws of energy don't allow it. Energy transforms, but it never dies. And neither does her devotion. There's an old soul teaching that says, when someone dies, they do not disappear. They expand. And your mother, Sagittarius, has expanded into the winds that carry you forward, into the stars that guide your steps, into the intuition that lives like a song inside your bones. You are her child, yes, but you are also her mirror. And when you close your eyes, when the distractions fade, you meet her again within yourself. I once met a Sagittarius named Raphael who told me that after his mother passed, he couldn't enter her room for months. But one day, while sitting at his desk, he suddenly smelled her perfume, sweet, soft, unmistakable. He turned around. Nothing was there. But his heart beat differently. I know it was her, he said. Not just visiting. Reminding me she hadn't gone anywhere. Sagittarius, what Raphael felt is real. Just like your dreams. Just like the voice you sometimes hear in stillness. Just like the signs you ignore out of disbelief. The hawk circling above. The wind that shifts when you speak her name. The song that plays when you need comfort. These are not coincidences. They are communications. Because in the language of spirit, nothing is random. And in the design of the universe, you were born to feel these things. You were born to seek not just the world, but the truth behind the world. Your spiritual sensitivity is not a flaw, Sagittarius. It is your gift. And now more than ever, it is your bridge back to her. You don't need a shrine to feel her. You don't need to light a candle, though you can. What you need is the willingness to believe that she never left. Maybe she doesn't appear to you the way you expect. Maybe she's quieter now, woven into your thoughts, your breath, your heartbeats. But she is with you. In ways that science cannot measure but your soul can sense. She exists in the liminal space between this life and the next. And because you were born under the sign of expansion, you are one of the few who can cross that threshold, again and again without fear. And when you do, you carry her forward, not as a memory frozen in time, but as a living part of your daily choices. You smile because of her. You try again because of her. You trust the journey because she trusted you to walk it. That's the soul thread. It's not mystical fantasy. It's spiritual reality. One that Sagittarius has always known, even before you had the language to explain it. So when the world feels too loud or too empty or too far away from what you love, come back to that thread. Feel it pulse. Let it lead you inward, not just outward. Let it remind you that some connections do not dissolve with death. They only deepen. Your mother is not gone. She's become part of the force that pulls you toward your purpose. And that thread, it will never break. Gate 3. When love becomes light, realizing you are held by the universe. There comes a moment, Sagittarius, when you realize that what you thought was emptiness has always been something else. Something sacred, something protective, something filled not with absence but with presence. You've spent your life chasing answers, across maps, between pages, within dreams. But not all truths are found by moving forward. Some are waiting behind you, within you, wrapped in the most familiar feeling of all, love. And not just any love. A mother's love. It is a force that doesn't end with goodbye. It becomes light, unseen but unfailing. Surrounds. It uplifts. It guides whether or not you're aware of its shape. You've felt it, haven't you? In moments when you should have crumbled but didn't. In nights when the sorrow felt like it might devour you whole. Until suddenly, out of nowhere, peace slipped through the cracks. Not in the form of a miracle but a quiet shift. Calm you couldn't explain. A reminder, you're not alone. That was her. Her love reshaped. No longer tied to arms or words, but now woven into the very framework of the universe around you. We are taught to believe love needs form, that it needs to be visible, tangible, measurable. But spiritual truth defies logic. And so does maternal devotion, especially when that devotion belongs to a soul who now exists outside of time. Sagittarius, your journey has always been one of faith, though you might not have called it that. Faith not in rules but in the invisible order of things. The quiet intuition that no matter how chaotic life appears, there is a deeper intelligence at work. Now that intelligence whispers to you in a voice you once knew intimately. Says, I am still here. Imagine this. Love as a current flowing just beneath reality. You can't see it but you can feel it. Pulls you away from harm. It holds you when you fall. It returns you to yourself when you stray too far from who you really are. That current is her. Her energy. Her devotion. Transformed into protection. Transformed into light. There's a story I once heard of a Sagittarius man named Eli. After losing his mother, he withdrew from everything, friends, work, even travel. He felt like something sacred had been torn from him, and he couldn't imagine the world still holding beauty without her in it. One night, standing on his balcony, he whispered out loud, "If you're still with me, please show me." And in that moment, a sudden wind moved through the trees, not a breeze, but a powerful gust that wrapped around him like an embrace. He froze, and then he smiled. "Okay," he whispered. "I believe you. Eli didn't see a ghost. He didn't hear a voice. But he felt light where there had only been weight. And that's how it often happens, Sagittarius. Not through spectacle, but through subtle, sacred shifts. Your mother's love has become part of the architecture of your life. It lives in the coincidences that aren't really coincidences. It lives in the timing that feels too perfect to be random. It lives in the moments when you almost fell but didn't. And you know what? Those moments aren't luck. They are love. A love that defies gravity. A love that belongs to you and only you. A love that doesn't demand your attention, but is always ready to offer comfort when you're still enough to receive it. Think of the times you were guided away from danger without knowing why. The gut feeling that said, "Don't go." The random detour that led you to safety. The quiet urge to call someone, only to find they needed you, or you needed them. This is not imagination. It is intervention. It is the soul of your mother reaching through dimensions not to control you, but to protect you. Sagittarius, your soul is open to these interventions because you are wired to seek truth beyond the physical. Your natural optimism, your spiritual curiosity, your craving for meaning. These are not random personality traits. They are part of your soul's design. They allow you to walk between worlds, to feel the unseeable, to trust the intangible. And they make you especially sensitive to her love, now transformed into the elemental forces around you. Have you ever wondered why, when you feel most lost, the stars seem brighter? Why the night sky, vast and dark, still gives you comfort? It's because the cosmos carries her essence now. She is not just somewhere, she is everywhere. And so, when you speak to her, even silently, she hears. When you close your eyes and ask for strength, it arrives. When you think of her during moments of doubt or celebration, something inside you responds, not out of memory but from connection. She is no longer bound by distance or time, and so neither is her love for you. And now the greatest shift of all begins to occur. You no longer wait to feel her presence in extraordinary moments. You begin to feel her in the ordinary, in the way sunlight hits your skin, in the comfort of your own voice when you speak kindly to yourself, in the stillness of morning before the world wakes, in the way your heart expands when you help someone, in the laughter that rises without warning. These moments are not isolated. They are proof. Proof that you are being held. Proof that love never left. Proof that she is not watching you from above, but walking beside you. So take heart, Sagittarius. What surrounds you now is not just air and atoms. It is the living imprint of a love that refused to end. It is the divine light of a soul who loved you so fiercely, she chose to remain. Not as a ghost, but as the pulse of the universe itself. You are not wandering alone. You never were. Her love moves with you. It lights your way. And even in the darkest hours, it is always enough. Gate 4. Returning to faith, walking with her spirit in every day you live. There is a moment, quiet, unmarked by ceremony, when something inside you shifts. You stop asking, "Is she really here?" and start whispering, "Thank you for staying." Sagittarius, you've crossed a long road of questions. You've touched grief in its rawest form. You've sat in the dark and dared to reach for light that didn't come from the sky, but from your own chest. And now, as you stand in this new awareness, there's a powerful truth blooming inside you. She never left you, and because of that, you are no longer lost. Your journey as a seeker has brought you many truths, but this one, the truth of her eternal presence, is not just meant to comfort. It's meant to awaken you, because when you accept that her love is here, now alive in the air you breathe and the steps you take, everything changes. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you dream. You're no longer navigating life from a place of survival, Sagittarius. You're walking from a place of remembrance, of reverence, of partnership. You and her, now a team beyond the veil. She becomes your compass, your inner North Star, the silent force that lifts your chin when you start to doubt yourself, the surge of courage that returns just when you think you can't go on. She is with you in the way you choose to show up, in how you forgive more easily, love more fully, rest more gently, and perhaps most of all, in how you trust again. Because let's be honest, when she left, a part of your trust shattered. Trust in safety, in permanence, in the idea that love can last. And for a time you protected yourself behind walls, behind goals, behind an endless forward motion that kept you from feeling too much. But now, you realize something astonishing. She didn't teach you how to build walls. She taught you how to return. To your heart. To your center. To her. You've seen the signs. You've felt the echoes. And now you're ready to walk differently. You begin to treat each morning like a reunion. Not just with yourself, but with her. You speak to her out loud, not as a memory, but as a listener. You wear the scarf she used to love. You cook her favorite dish. You keep her photo near not because it hurts, but because it reminds you, I am still loved. And then you begin to live in a way that honors her love. You speak more kindly to others. You follow your intuition, even when it defies logic. You give yourself permission to cry when you need to, and to laugh when joy finally returns. You set down the guilt of not knowing sooner, not saying enough, not doing more. Because she knows your heart. And all she ever wanted was for you to live fully, bravely, freely. So now you do. Not in spite of her death, but because of her life. And through it all, a sacred shift has occurred. You've stopped running from the past. You've stopped chasing answers in faraway places. You've started turning inward, into the temple of your own soul. And there you found her waiting. She's been sitting quietly in your spirit this whole time. Watching, loving, holding space. You didn't have to climb a mountain to reach her. You didn't have to earn her forgiveness. You didn't have to wait for a sign. All you had to do was believe. And now that you do, Sagittarius, your life becomes a different kind of pilgrimage. Not to escape, not to forget, but to remember deeply, deliberately, daily. You begin to see her not just in dreams but in synchronicities. You hear her in the music that plays when you're feeling uncertain. You feel her when the wind brushes your skin at just the right moment. You sense her when you almost make a choice that isn't true to yourself, and something inside whispers, come back. Because she's not just guiding you, she's living through you. Her voice becomes your wisdom. Her bravery becomes your backbone. Her love becomes your light. And so you walk, not as someone broken by loss, but as someone rebuilt by love. Every moment you speak your truth, she smiles. Every time you choose tenderness over fear, she stands beside you. Every dream you dare to pursue with wild Sagittarian fire, that's her spark, passed down into your soul. You carry her now, not as a burden but as a blessing. And yes, there are still moments when the ache returns. When the world feels too heavy and her absence cuts deep. But even then, the pain softens more quickly. Because even when you fall apart, you fall into her love. And that kind of falling is safe. It doesn't destroy you, cradles you. Sagittarius, you have crossed the threshold. You are no longer just the traveler, you are the temple, the channel, the guardian of a love that transcends lifetimes. From now on, every step you take is a sacred act. You walk through this world as someone watched over, protected, held. You laugh louder, cry softer, trust sooner, and most of all, you shine. Because somewhere, not far beyond the veil, a mother is watching, not to control, not to correct, but to celebrate who you've become. And in her light, you keep becoming more. So go on, beloved Sagittarius. Chase the next sunrise. Say yes to the next adventure. And every time you look to the sky, whisper her name. She hears you. She always will. And she will walk beside you now and forever, through time, through space, and through the infinite rhythm of love. Conclusion. And now, Sagittarius, you stand at the edge of something new. Not an ending, but a remembering. Throughout this journey, you have walked through the deepest corridors of your soul. You have met loneliness not as your enemy, but as your teacher. You have touched the veil between worlds and found not silence, but love waiting on the other side. And most importantly, you have remembered that the greatest truths are not those we learn from the world, but those we awaken within. Your mother's love has never been a thing of the past. It has always been here, woven into your instincts, your choices, your moments of strength, and even your tears. She was never truly gone. She simply transformed, becoming a part of the rhythm of your breath, the wisdom of your heart, the light that surrounds your path. And now you carry her forward, in the way you live, in the way you love, in the way you rise. So the next time you doubt your worth, remember, she sees you still. The next time fear clouds your fire, remember, her hands are still holding you. And the next time you wonder if anyone is really listening, know that she is. Sagittarius, your journey is blessed. You are not walking this world alone. You are guided by a force older than time, stronger than death, and more luminous than any star in the sky. You are walking with love. You are walking with her. If this message has touched something deep within your spirit, please like this video, share it with someone who needs comfort today, and subscribe to the Zodiac Wisdom channel. Every week we return to the stars, not just to predict your path, but to remind you of who you truly are. Because you were never meant to walk this journey in the dark. You were meant to walk it bathed in light.